Hello and welcome to Grizzly's video, how to install a new spiral cutter head in your 15-inch planer. This video is just one in a series of many how-to videos that we've created to help our Grizzly customers upgrade and maintain their equipment. My name is Kent and this is Shaun, an engineer here at Grizzly. Today we're going to show you step by step just how easy it is to remove the cutter head and install some new bearings. First, we will show you how to remove the conventional straight knife cutter head and then proceed to show you how to install your new spiral version. Grizzly pioneered the use of spiral cutter heads in joiners and planers because of their distinct advantages over the straight knife alternative. They are much quieter, they provide a much better finish, particularly in hardwoods and highly figured woods, and they last much, much longer. These spiral cutter heads are designed to replace the standard straight knife cutter head that comes in the Grizzly G0453 and the G0453P 15-inch planer. We estimate that the total time it will take to replace the cutter head and install new bearings and set up your planer to take approximately 2 to 3 hours. This video, along with the written instructions that are provided with the product, will guide you step by step through the installation process. We recommend that you watch this video in its entirety and you read and understand your instructions thoroughly before you begin the project. If you still need some assistance, feel free to call our technical support at 570-546-9663. Most importantly, remember to always follow shop safety guidelines and to wear your safety glasses. They're the most important piece of safety equipment you own. A complete list of all the needed tools and equipment are included in the instructions that come with your new spiral cutter head. Check through this list very carefully and make sure that you have access to everything you need before you begin the project. To avoid delays and potential damage to your equipment, don't attempt this project unless you have all of the proper tools. The three critical items are a pulley puller, replacement gaskets for the gearbox, and new bearings. While it may be possible to reuse your old bearings, we strongly recommend that you replace them. Bearings are relatively inexpensive and are easily damaged when they're removed. And since you already have your machine taken apart, it just makes sense to replace them while you're in there. The very first step is to disconnect your planer from the power source. Next, you will need to remove the dust port and the top cover, and then you will have to remove the knives. Remember that these knives are extremely sharp and you should use extreme caution and wear gloves when handling them. Remove the pulley cover and V-belts and then remove the cutter head pulley. Remove the table hand wheel, both rear guards from the sprocket cover, and then the sprocket cover to expose the drive sprockets and chains. Remove the sprockets and chains and then drain the oil from the gearbox. Now it's time to place the blocks under the cutter head. Reinstall the table hand wheel and turn until the cutter head just touches the blocks. Remove the 4 cap screws at the top of the gearbox. Using a rubber mallet, carefully unseat the cutter head out from the headstock. With the assembly still resting on the blocks, separate the gearbox cover by gently tapping near the gasket using a mallet and a flathead screwdriver. Remove the helical gear, then put the cap screw back in and carefully remove the cutter head and gearbox assembly and place it on your workbench. Separate the cutter head from the gearbox using a mallet. Now we're ready to install your new cutter head. The first thing you'll want to do is wrap a layer of cardboard around it to protect it from getting chipped during installation. Install a new bearing on the cutter head and then put the cutter head into the gearbox. Install the helical gear and using a new gasket, reassemble the gearbox and fill it with clean 80-90 weight sprocket oil. Install the assembly into the planer. Make sure that you seat the cutter head shaft bearing by tapping on the gearbox with a mallet. Reinstall the sprockets and chains, the sprocket cover, and both rear guards on the sprocket cover. Install the cutter head pulley and then remove the cardboard from the cutter head. With the power still unplugged from the machine, rotate the cutter head slowly by turning the pulley to make sure it is not in contact with anything. Reinstall the V-belts and put the V-belt cover back on. Put the top cover and dust port back on, and you're done. Next, we're going to show you how to correctly rotate or change the inserts. The 15-inch spiral cutter head is equipped with 74 indexable inserts. The inserts themselves are made of carbide, which is much harder than high-speed steel, so they last a lot longer. Now, each insert has 4 sides. So if they do start to dull, they just simply need to be rotated to restore a new factory sharp edge. If you happen to cut over a nail or some other foreign object, you'll only need to replace just a few chipped inserts rather than an entire set of cutting knives. Each insert has a reference mark in one corner to help you track which edges are used and which ones are new. Once that mark is rotated around to the original starting position, it's time to replace the insert. Replacement of the carbide inserts is very straightforward. Clean off all dust or debris from the cutter head. Loosen and remove the Torx head fixing screw. Clean off all dust or debris from the cutter head. Replace the insert, being sure to set it towards the rear of the pocket, and reinstall the screw. There's no need to remove the screw all the way if you're simply just rotating the blade. Just unscrew it about halfway, rotate the blade, and then tighten the screw back up. The screw should be tightened to approximately 50 inch-pounds, and I repeat inch-pounds. That's about how tight the average person can get it with a screwdriver type tool. Now, because of our design, there's no time-consuming setting of the blade height. The blade height is built right into the cutter head. One word of caution: any residual dust can affect the seating of the insert into the pocket. If this happens, it can cause very fine lines in your workpiece. Simply remove the insert, clean out the pocket, and reinstall it. Although no adjustments were made that should affect the alignment of your new cutter head with the table, it's a good idea to verify this, as well as the feed roller and pressure roller heights. The instructions on how to do this are included in your owner's manual. Now, when you're ready to test run your planer, you should listen for any unusual sounds or noises and verify the tightness of any bolts and fasteners that were removed during the installation process. If everything checks out, then you're ready to make some sawdust. Enjoy.